Hello everyone and welcome to the table. So we have a new knife from OKNIFE today. And so this one they sent on over. This one is actually going to be the U1 Ultra. And so this is the third in the series of utility knives that OKNIFE has released. So we have the original Autical U1, the U1 Pro, and now the U1 Ultra. So we're kind of getting incremental upgrades as time has passed. And so we can see what's new and different about this one right here. But with the improvements, we're definitely, the first thing you're going to notice is this unique coloration of the knife. And that's because of our handle material right here. So you can see right on the box, this is what they call their O aluminum. So their O aluminum is essentially, it's a very durable, hardened aluminum material they use for their knives now. And so I'm thinking it's something kind of maybe like a 70-75 aluminum, something that you might see pretty commonly like in the firearms industry or in the aerospace industry. And OKNIFE is applying this to the knife world. So we're getting very durable aluminum handles. So durable, in fact, that some of their knives are even using them for a frame lock action. So like this right here is their OKNIFE, their Zen model. And this aluminum is the actual basis of a frame lock design because it's just that strong. It's that strong. It's that durable. They trust it to, be strong enough to work as the lock of a frame lock knife, which is really cool. So with that strength, you're getting something for a utility knife. I think a lot of people are going to really be into that, especially because this is meant to be a working tool. The wear and tear is going to show a lot less on this O aluminum than it will on really, regular aluminum, steel handles, G10, whatnot. And so it should be looking pretty nice in the future. So I think that's kind of a big draw for this particular model. So definitely kind of a cool design there. And that's an upgrade from prior models, which we saw a lot of G10 with, I think. And so we have the metal handles, the aluminum. You'll notice, of course, this uses your standard utility blade. And the one they include is actually kind of unique. This is the very first time I've ever actually owned a ceramic utility blade. And I know they're out there, but the main reason why I've never picked them up before is because they're kind of pricey in comparison to regular steel blades. And so these utility blades here tend to run about, when you're buying them in bulk, even in bulk, they run about $2 a piece. And so we do get one included with the knife right here. And of course, there is an advantage to these ceramic blades. If you've never used them before, they will cut and cut and cut. The edge on these blades is pretty incredible. They do hold their edge for a very long time. So if you're going to be cutting miles of cardboard, this is something you really want. Only downside to ceramic blades is you got to be really careful because ceramic is naturally a very brittle material. So if you do any tweaking side to side, the blades will snap. And so that's something you do want to be very cognizant of. But if you're properly using a knife, remember, again, knives are for cutting. They are not for prying, not for twisting. They are not screwdrivers. So honestly, if you're using it like a knife blade, you'll really never have an issue. So it is definitely cool that they did upgrade at least the first blade for you to a ceramic one. And we'll try changing that out in just a minute because, of course, you'll notice there is a thumb screw right here. And all of the utility knives from OKNIFE use this very same thumb screw locking mechanism to keep that blade in place, which can be accessed without tools. But if you really want to crank it down for safety reasons, I would recommend you use a tool to tighten it down. And they did actually include one here in the box. So this was included. And so what we see here is a little multi-tool they include with you. So you could toss this on your keychain, have it with you. You can, of course, see there's a flat head, a little pry tip up here, bottle opener right there. But most importantly, we have a little section right here that you can use to wrench on this screw. Because, of course, you can tighten it by hand, and that's not a problem. But what I like to do is for this, the last quarter turn, I like to tighten it with the tool. That way I know it's secure. So you just insert it like that. And you can see I'm loosening it right now. So once you loosen it, you can really easily, undo it that way. And then the blade can come right on out. And even our ceramic blade right here, you'll see they have an OKNIFE logo, which is kind of cool. So they had a run of ceramic blades made just for this one knife. And again, once you do replace that blade, obviously, you just unscrew this thumb screw, put your new blade in. And so I have a blade right here. I actually think with this blacked out color, a black blade would look pretty cool. So let's go ahead and put this in and see how it looks. There we go. So once the blade is in place, we just start to tighten it. And I can get it pretty tight by hand. But what I want to do is really tweak it down. So that's about as tight as I'll get it by hand. Maybe a little bit of movement. So I'm just going to turn the last bit with the tool there. And now, yeah, that thing isn't going anywhere. And so I think that a little bit of extra safety is always a bonus, because you don't want to be hard using a knife, especially something as sharp as a utility blade, and have it come loose on you while you're making your cuts. So that's something to think about. So the tool is included, which I'm very happy they do that, because this little section here is perfectly sized to wrench off that screw. And it is a thumb screw, so you otherwise you could use it by hand, but again, they include it for safety. But with this aluminum handle, we get a pretty lightweight and small package. So before we do anything further, let's go ahead and measure it out, because it's a small tool. We can see from tip to end, our U1 Ultra here is coming in at about 5 3/4 inches long. And weight-wise, I think it's definitely less than 3 ounces. Let's check it out. All right, so on the scale right here, we're at 2.28 ounces. According to the box, 2.26. So yeah, it's within that margin of error right there. So a little over 2 ounces for this utility blade or utility knife, which is very nice. And so very cool design. And actually, I do have one of the original models right here. So here is our U1 Ultra. We also have the original U1 right here. So again, you can see it's the same size, same idea. Slight differences though. We can see on the original model here, they used a crossbar lock, and there's nothing wrong with the crossbar lock. It's just different from the button lock that we get here. The original is thumb studs only, whereas the Ultra, you'll notice there's a flipper tab in there, so we can use the flipper to open it. So it's really just depending on what kind of deployment do you prefer. We still have thumb studs though, so you can still use thumb studs if you'd like, because especially if you're using gloves, sometimes just having a pair of thumb studs to work things out works out pretty well. We will see though that there is a difference in the pocket clip design as well. They are both deep carry, and we just have one that's more centered in the handle, one that's more off to the side. Taking a look at the logos, I actually do appreciate the newer logo on there. It's a little bit more subdued. I mean, nothing wrong with the OKNIFE logo. It's just kind of big, and it looks kind of like a ring. I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. I mean, it's still obviously the logo they're using on their packaging, but on the knife itself, we don't have it here now. So we just have a simple plain text OKNIFE name on there, which I think is a little bit classier in my opinion. So there is that. But beyond that, both are super functional knives. The original U1 right here has come in many different colors and variations, regardless of what you like. Like I even have one right here. We have our sprinkle version right there. So depending on what you want, there are going to be, I'm sure, many more colorations of the U1 Ultra. In fact, even right now, if you go look, you'll see they have a blacked out model available, and they are actually going to have a titanium version of this handle as well, which also sounds really awesome if you want really the top-notch durability there. So definitely want to make sure you're all aware of that. But honestly, these are all OKNIFEs, and I wouldn't be doing a great job showing these things off to you if I didn't show you some other competitive options in this marketplace, because there are a lot of these really cool utility knife style knives out there nowadays. One of them being very popular from Civivi. This is their Elementum. And so the Elementum utility knife right here is actually very similar in size. It's also a flipper. It also has deep carry, also has an aluminum handle. So they're, again, very similar. You know, and the Elementum was more based off of their very popular Elementum pocket knife. So you can see it's very much shaped like that. The Elementum does require a Torx screw bit in order to remove the blade versus the thumb screw. So it's really a toss-up as to what you prefer, you know. So these are actually very competitive, I believe, in price too, because our U1 Ultra, I think it's coming in around the $55-ish price point. And so for the aluminum, the ceramic blade, you know, I think it's reasonable for what you're getting here, in addition to the very nice button lock action. So we have our knife from Civivi here. We have one from, this is from Kaiser. This is their utility, or what do they call it? UTI bear, Uta-Bear. And so this is a version of their drop bear. And again, it's meant to be a bigger knife, so it's not super comparable, but again, it does use these common utility blades. So there's a side by side there. But again, there are so many of these types of knives currently in the marketplace. It's very trendy, I think, in the everyday carry world, which makes perfect sense because if you don't have the ability to sharpen a knife, what is better than a replaceable utility blade, you know? So that's really the main story behind these things here is you want to make sure that you have a way to quickly change out these blades, keep your tool sharp at all times. And so I think that's really what these things are offering here. So we just can switch the ceramic black back in. Kind of show you that one more time. It's that easy. Once this screw is loose, it's very easy to put the blade in there. And again, we're going to finger tighten it. And then once it's finger tight, we'll just do a little bit of a turn there, right there. And it is rock solid. It's not going anywhere. So really cool knife, the U1 Ultra. Again, OKNIFE did send this to me. So and honestly, I buy tons of OKNIFEs. I'm actually surprised they sent it to me, but I am appreciative of that. So if you have any questions about the U1 Ultra right here, drop them below. If you want to see any more comparisons, I have a lot of other stuff that we can compare on the table. So I don't even have enough time to show all the utility knives and things that I have. But any other questions or comments, drop those below. Hope you all have a nice day out there, and I will see you later.